Now that we've got some of the basics set up for the project file, what I'm going to do next is show you how we can use a very simple unpopulated project plan to do some ad hoc planning with the team, and I'm going to leverage the use of the network diagram view in order to do this. One additional column that I've dropped in here though is this client field. This is something that we use to designate activities, milestones that have either sole ownership or direct involvement from the client. So I've renamed this flag 1 field to be client and had a graphical indicator, so I'm saying that if this equals yes, then the value, or then what's going to be displayed here is a blue dot. Of course you can use whatever graphic that you like, but that's what I've got here. So from the activity entry view, I'm going to flip over to the network diagram view. We can see that those start and finish milestones are displayed. This is the PSI template for the network diagram. I'm not really crazy about the fields that are displayed here, so I'm going to modify those slightly, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to right click on one of these, go to Format Box, and then select More Templates. You can see again this is a PSI template, and here's where I'm going to start making the edits. So click Edit. Then you can see the fields and the values that are displayed here. So rather than start and finish, which I don't really want to keep the focus in this planning session on start and finish dates, rather dependencies and getting ownership from the team on the tasks that we enter into the plan, I'm going to change this one to duration. And here I'm going to display deliverable. And leave this one blank, and that'll drag deliverable over to the right. Now on this, make sure that this show label in cell is not checked, otherwise deliverable colon will appear in each one, just like that. So I'm going to make sure that it's unchecked. Also I'm going to make a change down here, and so responsibility is listed. I also want to have that client flag 1 field, so here I'm going to say flag 1. I want displayed there as well. So I made those changes. We're ready to get started with some planning. So at this point, I would start to work with the team and ask the standard facilitation question of, okay, we understand the requirements around this deliverable. What are some of the tasks that we'd work on? And you can be creative here and say, if you're sitting at your desk and you're ready to commence work on this particular scope item, what would you need to have available? And that'll usually get the ball rolling, get them thinking about what needs to happen first. So they might say here, well, maybe we need to confirm requirements with stakeholders. Then we need to gather appropriate documentation. And you can see what I'm doing for each one of these is just creating a box that creates an activity, and then I click here and enter in the task name. So once we've confirmed requirements, gathered appropriate documentation, I might produce manual reports, verify manual report suitability. And it really doesn't matter where you place these right now, because we're going to move them around later. So it's similar to a sticky note exercise. That's really what we're trying to emulate here with the software. If we don't have that opportunity to have everyone in the same place, you can do this over WebEx, and it's very effective. So after we've verified manual report suitability, at that point we might produce or develop reporting capability within the system. Check reports produced against, actually check reports produced with stakeholders, and once they sign off, then you can say reporting capability established. Okay, so let's say this is a very straightforward, simple deliverable, and that's really all that's required. So at this point we need to start filling in some of the other attributes for the deliverable. So I would maybe start with owners, and then let the owners tell you what the duration for these tasks is going to be. So the owners for these tasks, I'm just going to speculate, might be Joe Blogs and Jane Simon. So not too particular about who owns what. I'm just going to copy these through. And then I'm going to ask them, of course, to estimate the duration. Remember, not the effort, but the actual elapsed duration for these activities. So I'm just going to start putting in some dates here. It takes a while to create those reports in the system. Checking should be a simple approval, and then that's our milestone that says when we're done. The activities that might have client interaction would be checking the requirements. Maybe the client's going to volunteer some documentation, and of course checking when it's all done. So we've got blue dots on those activities. And then the only other thing to put in here is a heading for our deliverable, which is reports. Now I could copy this and paste it through up here. I'll show you a quicker way to do that, one that you may not want to do for fear of losing the team. So you might want to pause the WebEx, and then you can flip back to the activity entry view, and you can drag this value down, and then when we flip back to that diagram, we'll see that's populated in all those fields. So at this point we're ready to start to draw the connections between the activities. So I might start to rearrange some of these boxes, and usually in the planning session you get some sense of how things are hooked up to each other. So depending upon your level of confidence, you might say, hey team, I think I've got a basic idea about how this works. Let me just verify that with you as I do this. So first off, I think we're going to be able to confirm requirements with stakeholders and gather appropriate documentation. Once we've done that, we might be able to produce those manual reports. Once we produce the manual reports, then we can start to verify the manual report suitability. Once we've confirmed the manual reports are okay, then we can develop the reporting capability in the system, and only after those reports have been developed can we check the reports produced with the stakeholders, and once that's done, then we can say that we've established the reporting capabilities. If everybody goes along with that, then you can connect the activities as so. So you left click in one of the boxes, drag that into its successor. You can see that little link chain that it's drawing there, and when I let go, it'll draw the arrow of the connection. You can do that for each one of these, and voila, you've got a network diagram created. And I can even draw the links in here with start and finish. So let's say this goes into the finish for the task. So it's just that simple to create a network diagram on the fly with the team. And now you can really impress them and say, by the way team, we've been creating this, capturing it in the software. The Gantt charts that I'm going to show you on a week-on-week basis are directly based on this network diagram that we've created. It looks very flowcharty, and in a lot of ways it is, because it has the relationships. So you might want to flip over to the Gantt chart view. Of course you need to calculate the plan, but then you're going to start to see how those activities stack out against the dates, and you can pretty much immediately roll into critical path analysis with the team. Obviously this is quite simple, so it's obvious what the critical path is, but let's say for example the 21st of September was too late. Then you might start to say, well, which activities can we compress some time out of? Someone might say, well, I can gather the appropriate documents in 3 days rather than 5. Well, unfortunately that doesn't really save on our finish date, so unless we can confirm the requirements with the stakeholders sooner. So this has just been a real quick example of how to do some planning with the team. Hopefully from this you can get a sense of how powerful that is. If you can use that, and it's quite easy to set up, and once you get some practice with it, I think you're going to find that you're quite effective with doing that on the fly. So hopefully this has been useful. Thanks.